Steve Howell, and today we're hanging with the band on this podcast. And yes, I'm bringing back to you a fella. Oh man, I love talking to this guy. This guy really knows how to really eloquently and delicately speak about the blues in such a way that makes you fall in love. I love that laughter, because that's what everybody should be doing today. Anyway, this is burntpossumrecords.com. We have a lot of podcasts out there. And look up the old one of Kevin Selfe. That's who's going to be on the show. And I want to preface this a little bit. This man has slept in the bed that John Lee Hooker slept in.
Yep. Same.
Yep. Down at Ground Zero. He's also played the one and only Muddy Waters guitar, handed to him by nothing but steady rolling Bob Margolin, handing him the guitar for him to have fun with. What a story that was. So you'll have to go listen to that podcast to get the full story if you haven't already heard it. And anyway, let's talk about what you've been up to, Kevin. I'm so glad to have you back on the show. I'm tickled to life.
Thank you for having me, man. It's good to see you again.
Oh no, it's always my pleasure to have gentlemen like yourself on. Yeah. And yourself on. That's pretty good. So anyway, what kind of blues have you been playing? I mean, where have you been? What have you been doing over the last 8 months, man? I mean,
I've been playing the blues gigs have been picking up, so I stayed busy. I've been busy this summer. Got to play the big Waterfront Blues Festival here in Portland, which is great. Yeah, that's awesome. It was after a 2-year hiatus away from its traditional form, was back at the Waterfront Park. So, there's 30,000 people a day for over like 4 days. So I don't know, over 100 bands. It was great. I had my big band with me, which is, I've got a 3-piece horn section, keys, guitar, bass, and drums. And that was just a blast. It was a blast to be able to get back to playing some festivals, seeing all my buddies, that are traveling around. And yeah, it's good. It's good to be back and kind of feel a little normal again, play some blues again, tell my stories, make some more stories. So yeah.
I don't think I've ever asked you. I mean, do you play much acoustic guitar? Do you ever do acoustic shows?
I do. It's funny. I've got, hold on a second. I play a little bit. I've got this guitar right here.
Oh, baby, that looks like a national around 1930s.
1934. And a buddy of mine that lives up in Hood River, Oregon, this is his guitar, but it's kind of been on permanent loan for about 8 or 9 years, and he just kind of lets me play. He had it refinished, but it's amazing. It's 34 National Dual Win. It's absolutely beautiful. It sounds amazing. This is the one that, when I'm sitting around just kind of playing around at the house, this is the one that I play and just play old slide stuff.
Oh baby.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds like a real deal.
Yeah. So I do play some acoustic stuff. Just kind of got to be in the mood for it. But it's lately I've been reaching for the acoustic in the house more than the electrics, because I always have my electrics when I'm playing my band stuff. So it's like a trio. So I've got my Strat, I got my 335, but around the house, this kind of rules. So, oh man,
that's always nice to have a favorite. I've got a new one in my quiver that I love this thing. It's a triple odd 28
Oh
Martin.
yeah.
And it's not the herringbone model. I didn't.
No, those are the little kind of parlor size. I love those guitars. They're great.
And for finger
Hmm.
picking and any
Hmm.
style. I mean, I've actually performed out with it about 6, 7 times now, and
Hmm.
it just, oh God, it just, when you're on stage, it's one of those things that just melts into your body. Whatever my mind
Hmm.
thinks I could play it on this thing, it's
Yeah.
just the way because it is a wider neck, it is a 13/16,
Hmm.
one of
Yeah.
13/16, and it's a little bit thicker. So, but I don't know. It's just like what you're holding there. It's one of
Hmm.
those guitars, like you feel about that
Hmm.
holding that national like you do. And
Yeah.
I can see why. I love Chris Whitley.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Did you ever listen to Chris Whitley back in the
Hmm.
day? Well, he's
Yeah.
gone now. It's too bad. You know,
Yeah.
um, but I tell you, some of the stuff he left to us is just, it's brilliant
Yeah. It's
music.
amazing. Yeah,
It
it
is
was
brilliant.
absolutely amazing. Yeah.
And,
Every time I pick up this guitar, it just kind of puts me in a different space. I kind of I feel the blues. I feel, I don't know what it is. There's just something, it just resonates and I can just kind of feel it against me. And I end up wanting to write music and what, it doesn't matter. I mean, I've written a lot of songs on this guitar and, um, it doesn't matter what I'm playing on it. It kind of ends up sounding like blues. And sometimes I'll take, my last recording that I had by my soul back, I did a version of Bruce Springsteen's "I'm on Fire," and
oh
that's on this
man,
guitar. Yeah, and so I've got, and I wanted to kind of like, okay, what if this was a blues song? And so that's what I would do all the and
yeah, yeah. I wish that came
yeah,
out.
and
It's not coming out too clear on the recording, but
yeah, I'm
I
just kind
can
of
imagine.
yeah, and it's there's just something about it, and it makes me think it doesn't matter. A lot of times we as artists kind of get, or people kind of pigeonhole us into what they think the blues should be.
Oh man,
And yeah, and I know you've
nice
gotten it,
subject.
and yeah, and um, really, what it doesn't have to be. It's just music that comes from the soul. That's what blues is for me. That's whatever I'm playing. It's coming from my soul, and that's it ends up for me. It ends up sounding like blues. But it doesn't. I think a lot of people get really caught up into, well, that's not traditional blues, or that's too old school for me. It's not rocking enough for me, and and I've had people that would really good fans that stopped coming to see me play because they thought I wasn't traditional blues enough anymore. And it was kind of sad, but I didn't let it bother me as much anymore. It's like, hey, this is kind of who I am, and I love playing old Muddy Water stuff. I'll play Robert Johnson stuff. I'll play a lot of Howlin' Wolf. I really take the time to study the old classic stuff, and when I do it, I want to do it right. But then I'm playing some the more contemporary stuff. If somebody wants me to play a Stevie Ray Vaughan song, I'll play it. I don't have any problem with that. Or if somebody wants me to play an Allman Brothers song, I'll play it. And
do,
that's
do you do the? Sorry, yeah, let me cut in here. I want you to continue that thought, but I really want to know this. Now, when they ask you to play something, I have a way about me when someone wants me to be a jukebox.
yeah. Oh, I do
Okay,
too.
if you're going to put $1 in a jukebox to hear a cut by somebody else, and then you're going to ask me to play that same song. Hey man, it's worth $20. Put $20 down, dude. I'll play any song you want.
Right, and
I don't
so
know. Maybe I'm a jerk that way, but
no,
you know,
that's you think about it and about the tradition of the blues, and the guys that were on the street, you know, in the 20s and 30s, you know, you think about Robert Johnson busking on the street, or Charlie Patton, or some of those guys, they would have played anything you wanted just to try to make some money. Right. And that's, you know, and I think about what I do when people ask me to play, you know, Stevie Ray or Allman Brothers or Skinner or whatever it is, you know, if they want to play, they want me to play it, and they want to give me some money for it, then I'll do it. And I've had this running joke for years, you know, that I'll play Freebird for $100. And I have played Freebird times for $100, you know, because somebody will call my bluff and like, hey, they just put $100 in my tip jar. I'm going to play it. And I don't have any
I don't know that song.
Yeah, and my band, you know, we kind of chuckle, and everybody, the audience laughs, and they think we're kidding, and then we start playing it, and we do a really good job of it. And you know, I learned all the parts. I learned the live version, and
nice.
The people go nuts, and and it's a joke, but it's not. And somebody gave us money to do it. And we're happy. And I've had people like, I don't want to hear that song. And I had one time when I was this has been years ago, and I tell this story all the time, that I was, I told that story, and somebody gave me $100 to play it. I was in Richmond, Virginia, and down at Shockoe Bottom. And the next time I was in that club, about 2 or 3 months later, a guy walked in while we were loading in, and he said, okay, here's $200, and I don't ever want to hear Freebird again. So I'm like, all right, you know, I won't, if you're around, I won't play it unless somebody gives me $300. And so I tell that first. So, yeah. And so I tell that story, and sure enough, years later, I'm in Walla Walla, Washington, playing a club, and I said, you know, the guy gave me $200 never to play Freebird again. And a guy walked up to the stage and handed me $300 and said, here, I want to hear Freebird. I'm like, all right, it's back on. And so it's kind of gotten to be this thing. It goes back, for me, the way I look at it, it goes back to the old blues guys that are busking on the street. They weren't playing straight blues songs. They were playing, you know, some other things that popular today, just to try to make some money and try to make a living. That's, you know, ultimately, you know, for a lot of us, that's what it's about. You know, we can't, you know, I haven't gotten to the level where I can just play all of my original tunes and everybody's going to be happy and they're going to, but I mean, a lot of people do love my original stuff, but I've got to entertain. I have to be an entertainer, and I have to, you know, the club is paying me, and I have to keep, you know, people in their seats and wanting to come back. And so if that means I have to play some things that I normally wouldn't play for, you know, I'll do it. But people remember those things about me sometimes. They're like, okay, you know, that's the guy that played Freebird, you know, he's a blues band, but you know, somebody walked up and gave him $100 and he played Freebird. So
Freebird,
I just see it as a continue of the blues tradition. I really do.
Oh man, I see it that way too. I want to rewind a little bit from when we started into that conversation. You were talking about, well, you're playing something that's non-standard. It's not really traditional. It's something that you composed. It's something that was in your own heart. And you came up with some new sound, and yet, you know, a guy has to be big enough to stand in front of people and say, "Hey, this is how I'm feeling today."
Yeah.
I mean, how did they handle somebody like Mim Shannon when he was going around? Taxi cab driver, played funk blues, and then you have Michael Burks, who was another great monstrous blues player, but he played a lot of funk, and it was very non-traditional.
Right.
And even his non-traditional House of the Rising Sun. I mean, it's like, so I mean, to me, that is a huge compliment of your prowess of feeling what the blues is truly all about. It was never meant to be, you know, like you know, I'm not going to bash the IBC because I've been involved with it, and
me too.
And there's really a lot of really cool people involved with that. But the blues was never meant to be like something that we saw in the Crossroads movie, where we're going up against each other head to head and thinking that we're better or different than the last guy that we saw. You know, I mean, really,
and so
we're all the same, really. You know, if you feel the blues, I feel the blues. You know, I mean, I feel equal to that. You know.
So, you know, the way that I look at it is that, you know, there's so many people that are out there that can play, that are great players. There are a lot of people that are great songwriters. There, you know, what separates us from each other are our stories. And I talked about this a little last time. It's telling our individual stories and getting that across. And so, you know, at that same show, someone, you know, is paying me $100 to play Freebird, but I'm also playing 3 or 4 of my original songs. And maybe after that, they go, oh, wow, these songs are kind of good. I kind of like this. Maybe I'm going to buy this guy's CD. Maybe, you know, maybe I'm going to figure out what his influences are. And maybe, you know, he really likes, you know, like Freddie King. I'm going to listen to some old Freddie King stuff. And so this is this kind of train. And that's the way it worked for me when I was growing up. You know, one of my biggest influences was Angus Young of AC/DC. And we talked about this before.
Kidding. Yeah.
And you know, the first blues song that I really heard was Baby Please Don't Go. They did this version of it. And I went back and tried to find the original. Yeah, I went back and found the Big Joe Williams version. I was like, wow, this is crazy. This is on a 9-string guitar. This is what is this sound? And that started me on the whole path of, you know, the traditional blues and trying to figure out where everything came from. And so I think, you know, if we can be open-minded about what blues is or what even music is, and just recognize that people, you know, artists are just bearing their soul and they're trying to get out what's inside of them. I think we'd be a lot better off kind of as just a music appreciation community. And that's, you know, that's what I try to see in my fellow musicians. You know, I love traditional blues stuff. I love playing it. But if I was, my biggest goal is to, if I was walking down the street and I heard my band playing, would I stop to listen? You know, that's the biggest thing for me. Would I, yeah, it's like, you know, and that's the way I try to write my sets and my music. I'm like, if, you know, would I be interested enough in if I had never heard me before, would I stop? You know, without not even seeing me, not even, you know, peeking in. If I just heard it on the street, would I walk into that bar and sit down for 5 minutes and listen? And so that's been my goal for many years now, the way I play and the way I write.
Well, I think also, you know, just getting to know you like I did the first chat that we had, I feel like I walked away with a real deep appreciation for a brother that is open-minded towards so many genres inside the blues. I mean, when you stop thinking about it, we got New York style blues, we've got New Orleans style blues, we got Beale Street style blues, and we got Memphis blues. Then we got Kansas City blues. Then we got Chicago blues. And each one has something to say, and we should be open enough to hear exactly what it's being said.
Right. And a couple of my, you know, like one of my good friends, an amazing guitar player, Kirk Fletcher. And Kirk is, so he played with the Fabulous Thunderbirds for years. He was played with, he also played with, he backed up Joe Bonamassa. And, you know, Kirk is one of the guys who can play everything. Like, and that's, you know, when I see him play, like, this guy is, you know, he can play the funk stuff, the old traditional stuff, the swing stuff, the T-bone, anything. And that's what, you know, I aspire to, as a guitar player, to be able to do. And through, you know, my career, I've had the opportunity to play some interesting shows. I did a T-Bone Walker tribute one year at the Blues Festival. And then I had someone asked me to do a Jimi Hendrix tribute. And I threw that together and did a 2-hour Jimi Hendrix show, and I borrowed the Marshall amp and all of these kind of things. And then my drummer, who was in the Fabulous Thunderbirds, Jimmy Bott, he also plays. Yeah, he also plays in a Allman Brothers tribute band, and so that's why we do the Allman Brothers stuff, and we can do all of those kind of things, and it makes us happy, those kind of things. Us, when we can go, and I'll call off, really go from playing "Strolling with Bone" by T-Bone Walker, and then next song I will do "In Memory of Elizabeth Reed" by the Allman Brothers, and it's seemingly opposite ends of the spectrum. But, the Allman Brothers they did some T-Bone, they did Stormy Monday. That was one of their biggest, I guess, songs that they were known for, is their version of Stormy Monday. So it really is, important to me to see musicians and audiences being open-minded about what music is. Just let artists be artists. Just enjoy it.
I'll tell you a secret. This is a real secret too. I play Allman Brothers on my mandolin. And love it, man. And I even do the jam sections. I do everything inside the song. And I'm saying that because I thought that'd be fun, kind of a cool thing.
Yeah,
I tell you, because it is a blast, And I've been looking for an acoustic player that will offset me, like the opposite ends of, that push pull thing that the Allman Brothers do so well and beautifully. And so I've been looking for that kind of a thing to happen around here. Of course, it's a needle in a haystack, to find something like that. But like you said, pushing those envelopes like that, I'll tell you another one I learned to play on the mandolin, Little Wing by Hendrix. I mean, it's like it's like when you picked up your dobro a little while ago and you started I could see automatically that you lit up, man. I mean, it was like you became whole. It's like, this is who I really am. This is the real Kevin Selfe. When you saw me pick up this guitar, and you started feeling, well, I mean, I'm saying that about a lot of instruments these days that I delve into, and the reason why I do it is because, number one, there's no one to play the blues with around here. There is nobody. There is no one, and it is really hard to find just another player. I mean, one that can really play. I mean, not good for me. And I'm not saying I'm all that. Don't get me wrong. No. I've
thought about people like you who live in more rural areas, and I'm from Virginia, from the mountains of Southwest Virginia, from Roanoke, and then we had some good players. We had some good players that were around, and I did a blues jam there for one club for about 4 or 5 years. I've run a blues jam every week in one form or another for about 23 years now.
Oh my goodness.
Which is crazy.
Yes,
but I can remember being back in Virginia and kind of in the heart of bluegrass country where I'm from. And I would have some amazing players, guys that would play the dobro, guys that were playing the fiddle, guys, mandolin. They would all come in and like, can I play some blues with you? I'm like, this is great. Sure. And we would have amazing jams. I had one guy come in with his own pair of very nicely carved spoons. And so he's playing spoons on his knee, and I got a little microphone and I had another guy that had a mouth harp, and he had a little microphone set up, almost like our headsets now, like a little, this is 20 years ago. And he had it like a microphone like taped to his head pretty much. And he would do, we had him hooked into the PA. He'd have a mouth harp going. Right. And, I had all sorts of instruments, and it was just all about making music and having fun. And we were playing we're playing lots of 1-4-5 kind of thing.
How
but
fun.
it was a blast. Yeah, it was a blast. It was a blast. I miss though that kind of, I don't get those kind of things here in Oregon as much. Every now and then I might get, I think I've had a fiddle player show up once or twice, but that's about it. But I miss kind of having some of the, you know, those kind of instruments show up in my jam and want to play blues. It was pretty cool.
It's kind of weird, you know. People seem to tie, like, you got to have this massive beard and super crazy hair. They think that, I mean, when you think of, I mean, and that is the thought that a lot of us have about Oregon players that play Appalachia style blues or Appalachia go bluegrass, you know, kind of thing. Because there are tied to Scottish, the old Scottish music coming down and joining and shaking hands with the modern bluegrass, which Bill Monroe is so famous for, you know, because he's the one that got that going. I don't aspire to play 100 miles an hour. In fact, if I had to play as fast as some of the guys that you hung around with on my mandolin, I'd probably drop out. I'd probably go, you know, hey, the door's open here, fellas. It's nice to see you.
Yeah, I mean, those guys were going to the Galax Fiddlers Convention and all that stuff. I mean, they were heavy duty, you know, some big time guys. And I had, you know, guys playing harp guitar. I don't know if you ever seen one of those. I knew a couple guys that did that. And hammer dulcimer. I had a hammer dulcimer player come in there who was amazing.
We have we have a lady over in Concordia, Kansas. She's mind-boggling when it comes to a dulcimer and the way she could do her hands and slide into things. And I mean, I don't even know how she got there, you know, and she's like 21, 22 years old. Crazy good. But, you know, I talk about there's no musician. The thing is that she's got a rare blood disease and can't go out in public.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's really sad. And a high allergy to peanuts. You know, if she even smells it in the room, she will break out in these big, rational hives.
That's scary.
How do you be such a musician like that and put up with that? I don't know, man, because I tell you what, I about had a breakdown over not being able to play while I had the polymyalgia rheumatica. You know, I mean, it was like, man, what am I going to do? You know, this is all I've done. This is all I know is build guitars or play them. You know, I mean, I don't know anything else. So anyway, didn't mean to bore you with that little side.
No, that's all good.
but that's life in the fast lane. I have some music I want to play of yours. I chose this time.
Okay.
My pick is from your 2015 album, and I believe was it called Self-Contained?
Oh, that one. Gosh, that is back in 2005. Self-Contained is 2005. That's my very first one back in Virginia. And then Buy My Soul Back is one that's 2015. That's one on this time.
Well, I like being corrected because, I mean, you know, Spotify's not too good at giving you information. You know, I mean, I would have known that had I looked it up on a different site, but I was kind of lazy. You caught me.
But anyway, what song you got?
This one is called Another Mule in My Soul.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Another Mule Kicking in My Stall. Yeah.
Is that from...
That is 2005. Yeah, 2005.
There's two songs on here that I'm going to play. I mean, I'm going to play them. That Soul Trance that you did back then, oh, man, it's like straight out of the Delta. Yeah. Man. I get that Mississippi sweat on me, you know, some of that old time stuff. So here we go, Kevin. Thanks, brother, for putting up with my not knowing.
It's okay.
Tell you, woman, another mule
Folks, you heard Kevin Selfe and the Tornadoes, and this man here was doing all that guitar work, just burning it up. I couldn't tell. Are you copying Stevie Ray Vaughan there? No, I don't think so. I think you said it with your own voice. Had some of his tone in there, though.
Yeah, I still kind of playing my Strat. I don't play my Strat as much anymore. I still have that Strat, and it's a Stevie Ray Vaughan Strat, the one that I was playing on the recording. It's a Stevie Ray Vaughan Strat. And I've got the old Tube Screamer. We got a TS-808 and a TS-9 back to back, and a 66 Super Reverb. That's what I was playing. Yeah, and I was going. Yeah, it was definitely the Stevie Ray kind of. I was in that Stevie Ray mode, and I was kind of splitting like between. I know, but I was kind of transitioning from Stevie Ray into Jimmy Vaughan. In that era, I was like, Jimmy Vaughan. That's some really cool tasty stuff, and that's what I'm more into these days. Even though I'll play Stevie Ray whenever when people want me to do it. But I have not listened to that song. I was thinking I probably haven't listened to that song in 15 years at least.
Let's see, it shows you how
it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's how ageless the blues really is, and especially a good song like that. Now I was thinking to myself while I was being played, I think, man, I could drive all the way to Austin, Texas, and listen to just that one song. I mean, that's a good
band back then. That was my band back in Virginia. The first band I had of my own back in Virginia. It was Tommy Revia on drums and Jake Dempsey on bass, and James Pace on keyboards, who played with. He ended up playing with Tommy Castro for years, Anna Popovic. He played with them for a long, long time. And he's over in Europe right now. But that was a good band. Those guys are awesome.
Oh, that drummer was kicked too. I mean,
Tommy is awesome. Yeah, he's still back in Virginia, and I still stay in touch with him. And he's a monster drummer. Tommy. They're all great players. Yeah.
Where did you record that? That's before the?
That was in Roanoke. That was way before Jimmy. That was back in Roanoke, Virginia, back in 2005.
Wow, was that self-produced or was it?
Yeah, self-contained.
That's all your mix?
That was. It was a studio. It was at Southwest Recording, Chuck Crush in Virginia, and he did a great job. We were in there. I think we spent 3 or 4 days in the studio recording that. We did, I think, 10 songs on that one. And that was my first recording of my own. I was really, really excited about that. And then I recorded that, and about a year and a half later, I ended up moving to Oregon because I wanted. Right. My band was great, but James had moved on. He was playing with Anna. He played with Harper, a harmonica player out of Australia. Played with him first, and everybody was kind of starting to do different things, and I wanted to be around really good players and try to learn more. And so that's why I chose Portland, and trying to further my blues and music education when I moved here.
Oh my goodness! I'm not just blowing smoke when I say that was a killer song. I mean, in 2005, I'm thinking back, man. We're talking.
That's 17 years ago. It was 17 years ago. I was just a kid.
No kidding, dude. No wonder you're like you are today. I mean, no wonder you could play like you do and do what you do with big band, small band, pick up your dobro kind of thing. I mean, it's like you're well rounded when it comes down to the blues.
Yeah, and I still do some stuff like that every now, and that's one of the only 2 songs on that recording that I still play is that song, and I'm glad you chose that one. Yeah, I still every now and then I will play that song because it's one of my favorites off of that recording. But I've changed. I think all artists have changes in the way they write music and the way they think about their songwriting. And that definitely, when you hear that, it's like, oh, this is a guy. And then when I hear it, it's like, oh, this is a guy that's going for the Stevie Ray Vaughan sound, which is fine. But I've kind of over the years, and I've got 3 recordings after that, I really tried to define my sound, and it's taken a while. And I think I'm starting to get the hang of that, where like, oh, you hear that, and it's like, it doesn't sound like a guy playing Stevie Ray. It sounds like, oh, that's Kevin Selfe. And that's been my goal since then, is to really try to find my sound. Yeah.
What I found in listening to and watching you on YouTube a lot, it seems like from growing from, we all start out in like the A box, kind of, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
We all start there. I mean, everybody does.
Yeah.
And it's funny, as a person grows older, you start to wander outside that and start finding these other tonations that just speak to your soul and cause you to go out there further. And yet you still turn around and can hook into some of those old blues standard licks that you carry around, and then go back outside. When you do that, it's kind of like a person who goes out to the job and goes home every day. It's kind of like, you go to the job, now you're going home, and the music has a tendency to transcend and do the same thing, in the same form that
it goes back to being an entertainer. And that's the way I look at what I do, is that I'm there to entertain people. And we know I've written, I have 50 songs, I have 4 recordings of my own. I've been on, half a dozen others for other people, but I've got, all my original tunes. And then we probably have 250 songs that my band knows. And so, I really, when somebody, I ask requests all the time, because I want to know what people want to hear. It might be something that we haven't played in a year or two. Like, oh yeah, that would be great. Let's do that. And I really try to entertain, and because people, there's a lot of choices out there for entertainment these days. I mean, your phone, you can just pick up your phone and watch a movie. I mean, it's crazy. Oh, and when people take time out of their day or their evening to come see me play and spend their hard-earned money, I want to connect with them in some way. I want them to feel like they're entertained. I want them to feel good about the experience. And I've seen a lot of musicians who just get up there and they don't interact at all. They don't say anything. They don't talk to their audience, and they can be great players. But I've left shows like that wanting to know more about them, wanting to have some sort of like personal connection with them. And I found that the artists that are the most successful are the ones that can, through song or through banter or whatever, have these personal interactions with their audience. And that's what I strive. That's what I strive to do every night.
That's huge in your success role, because like I think about Tab Benoit, where he came from, monster guitar player. And I bring him up because I just got through with Alistair Green.
So Alistair Green, yeah,
Alistair Green, and and he's in that stable kind of thing, and Tab, God, I can remember him just starting out, man, seeing him down at little places down in Wichita. He'd stop there on his way back from
Roadhouse,
and really every time I never met a kinder man that he's just willing to shake hands with everybody and anybody, he was down home, I mean. So
what, I've played with Tab, and I've seen Tab many times, and what I love about him is he's one of the rare few that does not have to talk to the audience. I mean, because I don't even know how to describe it. When he is playing and he's singing, he has a trio, and it's nothing fancy, but there is so much raw emotion in what he does, what he sings, what he plays, every note. I mean, he's not the flashiest player, he misses notes here and there, but everything he does is so tasty. Oh yeah. That it's no, there's just this rawness about him that comes through in the music that you're just drawn to. And every time I see him, I'm just in awe. you know.
Ah, great.
And yeah, and I think I don't know if I can't remember which stories I've told before and which ones I haven't, but I was on the blues cruise. This has been 8 or 9 years ago, and I'm up at a jam, and I'm playing guitar, and I see Tab come in and his bass player come in, and they get in the drums behind. He starts playing drums, and his bass player is playing bass, and so they ask me what I want to play, and I say, "Can I play Night Train?" which is one of his songs, one of his.
Night
He's
Train.
like, "You want to sing?"
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So he's like, "You want to sing it?" I'm like, "Hey, I'll sing it." And so I had the opportunity to play one of his songs and sing one of his songs with him playing drums, and it was this like surreal moment, and he's just back there, and he's an amazing drummer, he's just
he's Alistair Green's drummer most of the time.
Yeah, and so when Alistair is opening up for him, they act as his rhythm section, and
Corey Dubashaw,
Corey, it's Corey playing bass,
Corey, I've hung out with Corey for a couple hours in my guitar shop.
Yeah, and so there's just something. It doesn't matter what Tab is doing. There's just something about him that is raw, that comes out. That whatever he plays, it's magic. It's
mojo
magic.
hand.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The winning boy's hand. That's right.
And someone else who's gotten extremely popular now, and I remember when she was kind of just starting off, is Samantha Fish.
Oh yeah.
And she's the same way. She has, and her songwriting and her singing and everything has just gone to another level. But she still has this rawness about what she plays and how she sings that's amazing. That really is amazing. She is just a killer player. I used to joke around when I would see her. It's like we need to start a band together and call it Selfish. and I used to, but she's getting huge. I mean, she's just blowing up.
She needs to answer my letters. I'll tell you, I know her from when she was like 17 years old. There's a place on Broadway in Kansas City called Jilly's, and a band called Levittown.
I've played Levittown.
Yeah, with Brandon Hudspeth is the leader.
Did Adam Hagerman play? Does he play in that band, or he used to?
He used to. He's not in there any longer. Yeah, that's right. Well, and there was like Blue River Ordnance, which was another big band from that was in that region, would all descend upon Jilly's, and I didn't know about it. I was just this guy fresh from coming from Southern Oregon. And I got this job with KCP&L, and I go down to this Jilly's because I read in the ad that there's a blues jam going on. I thought, I'll go down there and have me a little bit of fun. Went down there. Brandon Hudspeth was tearing it up. I mean, on the guitar, and I mean the bass player was, and these guys said so. I brought this little blues junior in, and I had my Strat that I built. And I was like, I'm not going to get up with these guys, man. These guys are just way outside. So anyway, but nobody was really standing up. Nobody was really cheering for the band. I was like, well, this is a bummer. So the bass player comes up to me and goes, well, you got to put your name on the sheet to play. I says, I ain't playing. He says, why not? He says, it's a 1-4-5 blues, man. Just go up there and have some fun.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, okay, I'll do that. So anyway, comes time, Brandon calls me up, and I'm like, okay, and I don't have to plug into my amp because he plugs me into his. Yeah. No pedals or nothing. And I wasn't much of a volume knob type player at the time, and so anyway, this is a long story, anyway, that night, like Samantha Fish got on. 17 years old. Donnell Sneblin was my bass player for at this time. So I get up there and I said, and I'm talking to him. I said, well, I'd like to do in A minor. I want to do a little bit of Who's Been Talking. And Alan McGinty, a great bass player he's from he lives down in Texas now, but he was in Kansas City at the time. He recorded it, and he got a hold of me about 6 months ago. He says, I got that recording of you the first night you played at Chili's and said you didn't want to get up and play. He says you tore down the house. I mean, everybody got up and started yelling for me because they knew I was a newbie.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was so much fun.
Great.
It was so much fun, brother.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's like I was never, okay, I've always played acoustic music. And then a good friend of mine there from Portland talked me into playing electric guitar. And so I went and learned from Ben Benet. I don't know if I told you or not. You know who Ben Benet is by any chance?
No.
Oh, yeah, played on Steely Dan record jam with Dwayne Allman. He's, he's on the first, he had 33 gold records on his wall. I mean, basically. And I went in there and took lessons from him on how to play electric guitar. I was already really efficient on an acoustic, but I didn't have the feel, I didn't have that.
Yeah.
But man, after I learned how, I didn't want to put the thing down. But anyway, that's the story. I wanted to say that because Samantha Fish, it just brought back memories that she was 17 years old. And I was on stage with all these people that are phenomenons now. I mean, it's like Brandon Hudspeth is probably one of the busiest guitar players. I know he's hanging around with Dustin Arbuckle, and those guys down in Wichita. And then playing in the Damnations, and he's playing in that. He's playing in Levittown, and he's doing that Blues Cruise thing with his acoustic thing. And it's like, man, how does he do that without burning himself out? He just recently had a baby. He had a beautiful little baby, and I don't know how he keeps up with it all. I sure couldn't. Are you that busy?
Yeah. I'm a pretty busy guy.
So I'm really blessed. I'm really blessed that you take time to spend with me and let me yak too. I mean,
I'm just excited that people want to talk to me. So and thank you so much. Hey, people want to hear my story. So that means a lot to me.
Your story is huge, brother. And like I said, I don't take it lightly when someone, starts out way back when and was a fan of the blues first. I could tell, and those people listening right now, I mean, you have to go back and listen to that first podcast back there on BurntMonsterRecords.com. Get back there because that story's on there. And he talks about how he was a fan first and used to go visit Clarksdale, and he used to go visit Beale Street and all these different blues places. Yeah. And anyway, that's why I love having him on the show, is because he's the real deal. He's not fooling around with us. There's no big I and little you in this either. He doesn't make me feel like I'm this little tiny guy that lives out in north central Kansas. That means nothing to the world. He makes me feel important also. That's a big deal. I want to play another song. I got to play this song. Brother, I love this song. I can't
Which one is this?
Soul Trance.
Oh, I don't know if I've heard that song since I recorded it. And I think it's got more of the Hendrix Trower vibe to it.
Yes, it does. Yes.
Yeah. And wow. Yeah. Okay. Let's go. I know that song's probably close to 10. Yeah. I think it's about 10 minutes. So if I remember correctly, it's a long song.
It's a long song. Well, you know what? I could cut it short somewhere in there because we're getting close to that magic number. And not only that, truthfully, brother, my Dodgers are so hot right now. Oh, what? I had to throw that in. Yeah. That was a freebie.
No,
brother.
I gotcha.
No,
they are.
I'm not. I'm just playing with you because they'll be on until almost 12 o'clock tonight. So I'm not missing nothing. So anyway, I just thought I'd pull your chain a little bit. If that was all right. Didn't mean no harm. Anyway,
no, it's all good.
Let's play this song, Soul Trance, and we might listen to it all because, I got to stop here. Yeah. How come you haven't listened to it in a long time? Is it not?
I have three recordings after that. That was my first one, and I had, I've done try to grow, as an artist. I've tried to grow, and it's really interesting lately. I've had more and more people find that album and ask me about that, and it's because for me it's like, oh, that's ancient history. It's 17 years ago I lived in Virginia, right. And that's and different band, and I since then I've taken singing lessons, and I've done all these other things to try to be a better musician and a better artist. But there is something very raw about that. This kid who's, I look back and it's like, oh, it's just a kid, in his 20s trying to figure out how to have his own blues band and how to try to make a living and all of those things. And there is a lot of emotion in that stuff. And so when I hear it, it's like, oh, I kind of like, oh, the vocals aren't great. And, I've worked so hard to try to change some things, but there is some beauty in that just being so raw. So let's go for
it. The song that I opened up with, just to preface what we're about ready to play, it's called Pedal to the Metal. I wrote that back in 2007, recorded it with my band, the Soul Shakers. And so it's kind of interesting that we're both, I'm being eclectic with your music right now and causing you to be eclectic with your music. And so it's kind of, maybe, is that a moon thing? Let's not get into that. Let's listen to this song. Okay. We might have to listen to all of this just because, why not? We're on a podcast. It's a freebie. It won't hurt you. You're going to enjoy it. There you go, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Selfe. Brother Kevin Selfe, taking us to the electric church, bringing us to the glory, hallelujah, for good electric music. Brother, you know, those are the kind of things, that's the kind of music I looked for back in the 70s, man. Just take a hit.
Yeah.
Just turn that on.
Yeah.
And then loop it, you know, and just let that thing burn through.
Gosh, I haven't thought about that song in forever, in 15 years, and I listening to it, it takes me right back to that studio. I remember it was in early December in 2005, and you're just kind of, man, that was something else. That band, that was a really good band.
Oh, that was really amazing backup.
Yeah, those guys are great. Tommy and Jake are still in Virginia, and they're killer. Yeah.
It's funny because last time we talked, and I tell you, folks, go back and listen to the podcast at burntpossumrecords.com. Kevin Selfe. I'm telling you, the man is a wealth of knowledge, and the stuff you get to hear is just amazing that comes out of him. And I mean, and someone like yourself, I can see because you're such a classy guy, and the things that you play is really classy as far as playing some wonderful shuffles and wonderful music. But what you did there just shows how much talent is inside you. That's 2005, folks. I mean, it's mind-boggling, when you stop and think about what we played on the first podcast.
Yeah, which was all my horn section and all this. And that's what's on a lot of my later stuff is, I've got the horn section and it's all arranged, and it's, I've got parts and backup singers and everything. And it's really, it's cool to hear that, because I still, when I'm playing and I'm playing some stuff like you just heard, I still have that fire. It's like, I'm a kid, with a lot of things to say. I've got this,
right.
I have the story to tell through my guitar, and that's what I was trying. That's what I was trying to do is, I'm trying to tell stories with that guitar.
Well,
and
I really believe that music is supposed to move and elevate you anyway. And I mean, it's like earlier we were talking about being entertainers that take people basically out of the 40-hour work week. They get in and they have the traffic. I know I've been in Portland. There's a lot of traffic. There's a lot of angry people in that
There's
traffic.
A lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff here in Portland, man. Yeah.
But so they go out and listen to someone like you, and they feel your soul coming out, being poured over your guitar. You get up there with your great big smile, and then just turn and tear up the guitar like you do. It's just a wonderful thing, It's just a beautiful thing that God has gifted you with, brother. I mean, it's really cool. And your journey now, really, I don't know how we didn't plan this on this podcast, right? Yeah. We just started talking. But if you take this podcast and put it together with the other podcast, there's quite a huge story inside about the man. And really, that's when I started this podcast, that's all I was after is the story. And I wanted people to be informed about people like yourself, because if they don't go out to see Kevin Selfe, they can only blame themselves for having an ugly life and having depression and all these nasty things happening to you while you're going down the freeway.
I'm just
that's my rant for today, folks.
I'm just grateful that I have an opportunity to make music and enjoy what I do, and that people will come out to see me play. I have a blues jam when I'm in town here in Portland every Sunday, and I did that a couple nights ago, and it was really interesting. We had a lot of new younger people that came in. They're like, "Wow, this music is great. We didn't know this was here. We didn't really know what blues was about," and it was kind of encouraging. It was like, okay, this is cool. We got, I'm starting to get some younger people that are getting into this, and they don't exactly know what it is. We're like, oh, this is kind of cool. I'm digging this because it's got a groove, and it's, I'm telling the stories, and for my jam, I'm getting people from all different kinds of, all different walks of life and all different backgrounds and different instruments. And they're getting up and we're speaking the same language.
Oh,
And
God,
we're having a good time, that's what that's what it's about.
Well, I mean, that's what I love about my interview with Dustin Arbuckle, because he talks about a fellow by the name of Lee McBee that used to play.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
down there in the bottoms, down down in Kansas City, and he played Lindsay Shannon's house, BB's Barbecue Lawnside, and his story is the same thing. I mean, Lee kind of nursed him along. He came in there and he just, and he told him what to do with the harmonica, basically, and showed him tricks. And isn't that beautiful? I think that's
yeah.
And where you're at, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and it really, the storytelling. When I saw Doug McLeod.
Oh, Doug, I know Doug.
And seeing him, watching him tell his stories and just seeing how he connected with the audience, like, that's what I'm kind of aspiring. Like, he was a huge inspiration. And of course, Curtis Salgado is another guy who's been really good to me and been kind of a mentor to me, especially trying to grow as an artist and grow as an entertainer and as a singer and a songwriter and all of these things. And I'm just trying to, soak up everything I can and just be able to, like, okay, I'm going to tell my story now. And every time I get on stage, I want to be able to do that. And like I've said before, sometimes it may be I have to connect with people in a way that I'm playing classic rock or I'm playing something where they open their ears up enough to listen to what I'm saying about me and my story. And, it's really cool, and once I've been fortunate enough to be able to build a community around me here in Portland and around,
that's great,
the U.S. and the world. Yeah. And it's been great. Like when people will come into town, I'll get the opportunity to go and sit in with them, and they're like, hey, Kevin's here, and we'll get him up, and it just makes me feel like I'm on the right path there. It really does. I'm doing my own thing. I'm writing my music, I'm telling my stories, and just seeing what happens, and it's been kind of magic from there. Just super grateful.
Oh man, that's so cool. Well, you put me in the mood because he brought out a national and shared a 1934 national and kind of put me in the middle. Yes. And I wasn't going to share a song. I have a song here that I was going to I'm saving for the end of the show, which the show is coming to an end. And do you want to play a song? I mean, on a national? I mean, hopefully we can.
I don't know if we. I'm trying to figure out how we could hear it. I don't know.
Yeah, because the mic seemed to cut out those. Yeah, it's a lot of latency.
It's not working it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It could be the headphones. I don't know, but that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's just like this is how it sounds. It sounds like. Let's see if I can pick this thing up. We
have the dueling guitars. There's yours. Hey, that's pretty.
It's a 95 is what it is. But it's an OMI, so.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds great.
I missed it. Anyway. I mean, I can't just pick up and play anymore like I used to. But anyway, that's my dobro. I thought
it sounds great.
How did that sound? Is it all right?
Sounded great. Yeah, it sounded great. I think
it's because of this. I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah, you've got a real microphone. I've just had my little
the mic
earbuds and.
Mike's not a toy. It's
Yeah.
and a lot of different stuff. And I'm a Rode microphone kind of guy. I love
Yeah.
Rhodes. I mean, I
Yeah.
love their stuff. And you're in my station, basically. You're in my wheelhouse as far as that goes,
Yeah.
brother. I gotta go. And I wish we could let you play that thing. But I'm gonna end it on a song that you might enjoy. I wrote this song during the Ferguson riots. So the name of the
Okay.
song is called Ferguson, but it ain't going to be anything like you think it is, because this should take you back to the 1920s is what it should.
Okay.
That's the feel of the song. And anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is burntpossumrecords.com. I've had the pleasure of having a mighty blues man in the house tonight, Mr. Kevin Selfe, and he's such a gentleman, such a wonderful person to get to know, and I can't wait till I get to talk to him again. And anyway, I'm going to close out with this little thing, and then I'm going to give you a little talking to. Ferguson, Missouri. It's been a great night, folks. I'm Howlin, Steve Howell. I've had a good time with Kevin Selfe on the show. Something I want to share with you very serious like. Hey, there's nothing wrong with being kind. There's nothing wrong with falling in love with this nation again called America. I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care what road you're walking down. You're still my brother. And we still got to live together on this place called planet Earth. And I'm very serious about this. When you get in your car, listen, you could be nice in your car also. There's not a problem with letting somebody in. There's nothing wrong with you taking a spot. But one thing we need to do is get along and not be divisive any longer in this country. And that's why this blues music was so huge back in the day, because the blacks weren't looked at as a real people. They had separate bathrooms. They drank out of separate faucets. They ate on different sides of a restaurant, if they could even go into that restaurant at all. Now think about that, folks. That was divisive. It was a terrible thing. And look at how much we lost out because of that bigotry that was going on. So yeah, let's be great again, all right? I don't mind those words. Let's be good to each other. Why not? It's America. Folks, I love you, and I want you to know that I really appreciate you listening to burntpossumrecords.com. Here in the studio at Burnt Possum Records, we say goodnight to one Kevin Selfe. And Kevin, thank you once again, brother.
Thank you.
What a wonderful thing, man. It's a wonderful thing to have you on the show.
Thank you.
So, anyway, I'm gonna close out here. See you later, folks.